different kind of live. I'm in the middle of moving. I'm even shocked I was able to make it today, but here we are. I'm in the middle of moving. So as always, we're gonna do it the way we do it. I like this kind of dark. Wait, should I keep this look? It's cinematic. I look like I'm in The Godfather or something. Yeah. So we are. Anyways, welcome everybody. Welcome, welcome. Uh, oh Lord. Hey man, listen. In different circles, I'm a hotep. So every in different circles, I'm a hotep. So shout out to my hotep brethren. But yeah, as I was saying, what was I gonna say? Yeah, so this one's gonna be very different. I'm not breaking cola because I want to do a full ceremony to bless the home and welcome or greet the land that we're on now. And so I want to save that for then, as we're in the middle of packing. I wouldn't invite guests over, so I'm definitely not inviting my ancestors over. I just found out about your channel yesterday. So glad. Rose Eze. Hey, thank you so much. Cinematic vibe on a Saturday night. Odulola, Ifalomo, Odulola, I like your name. Udonwane. Uh, Rasan, Udo, hey, always good seeing you. Brooklyn Wisdom, the High Chief, Udo. All right, you guys, wow, we're already at 11. If we get to fifth, I'm setting the goal too low. Once we get 20 people in here, I'll go ahead and begin, but I'm not going to break cola. I'm just going to go jump right into it. We'll see how it goes without the ceremony. I'm not breaking cola until I'm done packing and I greet my ancestors formally rather than to do a live. I'm having a really hard time thinking about the afterlife. I'm so scared. Okay, Milkman, I can completely relate. I've had very difficult thoughts about the afterlife as well. So the way it works is once we get to 20 people, you can ask me any question you want to ask me, and if there's anything I can do to alleviate your worries or answer questions that may make it better or worse, let me know. Siberia, the Dalo one day, thank you so much. Mwamadioha. Looks like the village is in the house. Udo. Ndewo, Danielle, Ndewo. True asked me, what is Igbo belief on? I get asked this question every single day for four years. So I'm just gonna leave this one alone. I'm actually gonna start writing down the names of the people who asked me this question because I caught one person asking me this question two times, even though I have specifically sat down and talked to this person about it. So I don't know what you guys are getting at. But yeah, so I'm leaving that question alone. Every live, I have an answer for it, except in the past 3 months where I've been skipping it. I just found out about you. Okay, I've already read that one. Danielle, once we get to 20 people, I'm going to go ahead and begin. Okay? Once we get to 20 people, I'll go ahead and start answering questions. The rules are this. If you have any questions to ask me, um, my name is Derek Ofadarumwa. I teach Igbo spirituality, known as Odinala, here on the Medicine Show. Um, People have asked me very random questions that have nothing to do with the topic at hand. I'm open to answering whatever. So that's cool. But primarily, I'm here to discuss spirituality, cosmology, and the worldview of our ancestors. For those of you who are new to the channel, the best way to support, of course, is on patreon.com/the medicine show. We've opened a new tier called the Ezumezu tier. So anybody at the Ezumezu tier, you you can take any of our classes. That's another thing. Any of our classes on kedu.me, just walk in, no additional cost. I have an Igbo language course at www.kedu.me. And I also have a traditional medicine course, an intro to Dibia work, as well as an apprenticeship with a real Dibia on www.kedu.me. But all of that is available if you're at the Ezumezu, the highest tier at Patreon. Otherwise, we have also all other stuff that I use to say thank you to those who support. Um, our Patreon community is the village. We very much operate like that. We're family. And yeah, that's really that. Somebody says, good evening. Very happy Mondays. Udo, I like your name. Good evening. No question. Just grateful to listen and learn. Oh, thank you so much. But bring your questions. If you got questions, bring questions because once the questions stop, I leave. Once the questions stop, I leave. Communicating with the creator. Okay, very good. Are you at Anambra or Abia? Okay, the questions are coming, but I don't start answering until we get 20 people in here. So if you're in here and you know somebody who would be interested in this topic, who may have questions that I could answer for them, copy the link and send it to the WhatsApp group, post it on the Facebook group, post it on TikTok, post it on Instagram, post it wherever you can or may, post it on Facebook. Let people know that we are officially live once we get to 20 with these new cinematic vibes I'm rocking. I might go with the cinematic vibe. I like this. I might go with it. Maybe have like a purple light. Oh, by the way, you guys should give me some ideas of how to make my studio look, right? So last time we had the books and then we had the painting or the not painting, the picture. So if you guys have any ideas that maybe match my vibe, whatever vibe you're getting from me, I'm all ears. I'm all ears to suggestions. I might go with this kind of cinematic, maybe like a bluish light or a golden light coming. That'd be cool. Udo, udo, udo. All right, the questions are coming, but we got to get two more people in here for me to answer a damn question. Siberia asks, can Obanje have a thunderstone hidden? Oh, somebody just hit the little heart. Hey, make them little hearts fly. I don't. Methods for cultivating will. Oh, wow, these are good questions are coming in, guys. The good questions are coming in. People are leaving, so maybe I should drop the goal. I said it was going to be 20. Maybe I should reduce the goal. Oh, what do you guys think? I see the hearts flying. Make them fly. Make them fly. I don't know if it has any significance, but it looks cool. Do you, oh, okay. The questions are coming. We have officially passed 20 people. He say. All right. So usually after we pass the 20 people mark or whatever mark we set, I break cola. But like I said earlier, for those who are new, I am not breaking cola today because we are moving into a new home. I'm in a new home. And once I'm situated, I will invite my ancestors in a more formal, more respectful way. Um, so I'm not breaking cola today. So I'm going to just go ahead and begin by answering the questions. All right. Retracted all the Wabba. What's a wabbo? Rude mechanicals. What's a wabbo? Yeah, I decided to be a little different with the thumbnail, you know. So let's see if we get a different crowd in here. Cinematic vibes. Already got that. Perfect time. Will you have times when you can call in and talk to you? Oh, Rose, is it? That is a really good idea. And I had a celebration for the New Yam Festival, which I'm going to do it again this year. I didn't do it again the previous year, but I will do it this year. I had a celebration on New Yam Festival where people would just come up and we'd talk, or like would ask questions and we'd talk and that kind of thing. So I think I'll open up the grounds again. I think the trolls have found my channel, so that might be a bit of a risk, but we're ready for them anyway. People don't know that we swear all full for people on this channel. If you know, you know. Okay. Where are we going? Well, hey, Ganel, one. My daughter changed my YouTube handle. It's all good. It's all good. My kids mess with my stuff all the time. Ganel, so nice having you in here. Udo, udo, udo. And I know you are excited for what's going to happen on Monday. Monday's the first day of our traditional medicine class. The traditional medicine class is absolutely full for like full over capacity for this spring session. If you're interested in signing up, we can try I would try the summer session, but we are absolutely full and we're beginning very soon, aka next week. So I'll do my, okay, Rose as it says I have a lot of questions. I'm new. Okay, Rose, very nice to meet you. Okay, first question. What are Igbo methods of communicating with the creator? Prayers, offerings, so on and so forth. So The creator does not receive sacrifice, right? So as far as offerings, it's not necessary for the creator, right? Chineke. Our ancestors do not depict Chineke, and our ancestors do not offer Chineke or Chuku, um, do not offer Chuku sacrifices or offerings. Also, keep in mind that our ancestors also do not appeal to Chuku as often as they appeal to other things. If you want to think about how we see the creator in the Igbo worldview, the creator is almost like a designer or an architect, or yeah, like an architect, right? So the architect builds the building, right? Builds the building. You can learn about the building by learning about the architect, but it's not the architect that you appeal to fix things, because everything the architect had in mind is already in motion. I hope that analogy works. But there are times where you give thanks to the creator, you give acknowledgement to the creator, you can ask the creator for protection and that kind of thing. What you'll see most often is people asking the creator to make what is theirs known to them, right? So you already have hundreds and thousands of blessings on your road, but may the creator allow you to see them and receive them in due time. But there's no orthodoxy as far as the what you ask the creator for. So if a person wants to appeal to the creator for like intervention, things like that, there's no issue with that. Now, what are the ways of appealing with the creator? Speech, just prayer, right? Breaking kola oji, that ceremony I do in the beginning of that, it's a communication tool with the creator, and so forth. But just the same way, praying, that kind of thing. Typically, if you're appealing to the creator, you want to face the sun. You want to face the sun. Most often, the rising sun, but any sun is fine. If you're trying to appeal to the creator, you don't appeal to the creator at night. You can do Iwaji at night, but you don't like break the cola. It's something I'm learning kind of new. You don't break the cola at night, which I've done a few times, but I'm gonna chill on that because I just learned that recently. Um, but if you like pray and use a cola, you put the cola down. You don't have to break it. Adumma. Communicating. So prayers, offerings. No, you don't give offerings to the creator. Am I Anambra or Abia? I am from Imo. I am from Awomama. I am from Awomama in Imo. So it's Imo State, very close to Anambra. Imo State, very close to Anambra. Can Obanje have Thunderstone? Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Have a Thunderstone hidden somewhere? What are the stones typically hidden? So an Obanje will know which stone is theirs, right? So an Obanje will know which stone is theirs. An Obanje will know where the stone is hidden. It can be a Thunderstone. It can be any type of stone you can think of. They'll vary. So what Siberia is asking is, can an Obanje have a thunderstone hidden? So I'm going to explain two things. Why would an Obanje have a thunderstone and what an Obanje is? An Obanje, for those who don't know, in the ancestral worldview, when the process of reincarnation, you will cross water, right? This water is represented by the womb in a woman's, or the water in a woman's womb, your mother's womb, is represented by the paleness of a newborn baby and the paleness of a corpse. And so, in the process of reincarnation, you will cross water. Now, the world of water, all right, the world of water is going to have an entire cast of spirits and forces that exist within that world. Now, the thing about about water is that water doesn't abide by rules as easily as the other elements. Water elements are often more mischievous and more likely to do things that are out of the bound or out of bounds or out of orthodoxy. So sometimes the mischievous water spirits known as some, not all of them are Obanje, but some mysterious spirits known as Obanje will latch on to you on your way into the world. So you'll come into the world and these are spirits that come in the world with you. Typically, if an Obanje wants to enter the world, right, wants to enter the world, An obanje is a childish spirit or a childlike spirit. So it's going to have a childlike way of understanding things, and it typically sneaks into the world of the living for a very narrow kind of childlike thing that it wants to enjoy, right? So some obanje will come into the world because they want to be pretty, and they see that you are coming into the world and you're going to be good looking. So, oh, okay, I want to do that, right? So they'll come ride the wave with you. Some obanje will come into the world with you because maybe they've entered the world before and they tasted sugar and they want to just go and enjoy sugar, and that's all they care about is sugar. Some obanje, I'll leave that one alone. Some, I'll just say it. Some obanje want to come into the world specifically to be prostitutes, right? They like that idea and they want to come and do it. Some obanje want to come into the world to be rich. Some of them want to come into the world looking for like a lost friend and that kind of thing. So all these different, every obanje is going to have a different means by which it enters the world. But remember, the obanje snuck into the world, is sneaking into the world. And part of the ritual or the method that the obanje will use to sneak into the world is by hiding a stone in alam miri, the world of water, which will also manifest in the world of the living. Now, if you guys have been on my lives before, I've talked about how in the Igbo worldview, we believe that there is a grain of sand for every single person who has lived and will live and currently lives. There is a grain of sand on the earth, and there is a star to correlate with that person, right? You have a star that is you in the sky. You have a grain of sand that is you in the earth. So the obanje, because it has an unnatural manifestation, will use a stone or some type of object to be the as its earth kind of tether thing. This is hey Kaba. Hi. Kedu. Uh-huh. Okay, so we're in a new house, but my son's gonna have the same habits. So, anyways, yeah. So it's going to plant a stone somewhere in the world, and part of the ceremony for removing an obanje from a person's ezumezu, which is like your spirit, your spirit as a galaxy, is finding where that stone is buried. And the obanje always knows where the stone is buried, even though the person may not know that the obanje is like occupying. When an obanje occupies a person, because it has this very narrow focus, you get this type of person who has this very, very narrow focus in life. So an obanje might come into the world because they want to play music, right? And they're gonna play music. If you tell them about getting a job, they don't give a damn. If you tell them about raising their family, they don't care. If you tell them about having a home, they're not trying to hear. They just want to play music. They don't want to hear music. They want to play music. If the obanje comes into the world and isn't allowed to play music, or sees that that's not going to be an option, the obanje will return into the world it came from, right? So think about like when you're having a dream. I don't know if you guys do this, but I do this. If I'm having a dream and it's like or like if I'm having a dream and things spiral too far out of control, right? Like maybe my whole family gets like hurt, or like things I'll be like, all right, I don't like this anymore, and then I'll wake up, right? Okay, this isn't fun anymore, and I'll wake up. Well, that is what an obanje does to a person, right? So let's say oftentimes like it comes into the world and sees an obanje comes into the world and wants to be rich, and comes and sees that the family's poor. It will run back into the world it came from, and in that process, especially for small babies, infants, the child will die, right? The child will die because of that. You understand? Because it's like a forceful pullback, that kind of thing, and it hurts the child. So obanje at home is often associated with premature death, but if an obanje is able to be and do what it wants to do, some obanje live longer than everybody else. They tend to live long lives. So they're very either or. So what Siberia had asked was, do some obanje have stones buried somewhere? All obanje have something buried somewhere that is tied to them, the way everybody born more naturally or in a more orthodox way have something in the sand that is tied to them, that ties them to the earth. That is known as their iuwa, IYI space UWA. The translation is your universal stream, or your stream into the universe, your universal river, right? Which is again represented by a grain of sand and a star in the sky. That is your universal river, your EU. So that was a really cool question, Siberia. Thank you for that. African artifacts and candles. What happened? Okay, so I should have African artifacts and candles. I like artifacts. I don't know if I like candles because I don't want anybody to get the wrong oh shit. I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea of what's going on out here. Igbo spirituality methods for cultivating willpower. Hey, you have tapped into Igbo spirituality methods for cultivating willpower. I can make 3 medicine shell channels on this particular concept alone, right? But anything dealing with willpower goes into the ikenga, the masculine energy, the masculine force that your chi, your creator, gives you in order for you to willpower what you need done in the world, right? So one of the ones I commonly teach people is making a promise to your ikenga, right? So you have your ikenga figure. I'm actually working on getting or building a relationship with somebody at home who can make ikenga, and then like I can provide it or like sell it for you guys, for those who want to have an ikenga. So, and also an akwali or momo. So the ikenga is the masculine, the akwali or momo or akwali is the feminine, right? So willpower is in the feminine sphere of power, right? Manifestation power is the equivalent in the female, the equivalent, right? The female, what you call it. So, but this is about willpower. So one of the things you do with your ikenga, right, is that you have the ikenga, you go to the ikenga and you give the ikenga something that's a little bit above your means. You give the ikenga something that is a little bit above your means, but not way too above, right? So maybe you'll bring some type of alcohol that is expensive for you, but it's not like completely out of range, right? So maybe like a $500, $200 thing of alcohol. Now, if I'm just drinking around and having fun, I'm not going to buy no damn $500, $200 bottle of alcohol to do that with. But for this particular one, I will. So I'll bring something a little bit above my means. At home, people will often bring like a goat. If they're like really, really poor, they'll bring a chicken. But most of the time, you'll bring like a ram, which a ram is very expensive. But it's not like way too expensive, right? And then what you do is you give the offering and you say, I have brought this here. I've brought this here because I'm about to embark on a journey. I'm about to do XYZ, whatever it is. I'm about to go run for the president of the United States. I'm about to go fight Mike Tyson in an exhibition match, right? Something that requires a lot of willpower. I have to endure something great. Follow me as I do this. Follow me as I do this. At the end of the road, I will bring something greater, right? So you bring something that's a little bit over your means, but not too far. And then at the end, you bring something that at the time of making that promise, you did not have the power to bring to the ikenga, right? So people will then, you bring like a cow, right? Like I say, a poor person will say something, I'm going on this business mission. I'm going to come back. I'm sorry. You also tell the ikenga what's going to happen at the end. I'm going on this business mission. By the time I come back, I will be a millionaire. I will be able to support this person and that person and that person. Others will grow from the strength of my hands. Follow me in this journey. I will bring you something greater, right? So let's say I brought a ram the first time. The next time I might bring 2-3 cows because I've grown, right? You brought the 500 alcohol. The next time you're bringing the 2,000, the 3,000, the 4,000 at the end of the journey when you've successfully done what you're supposed to do. So you call your ikenga, you say, this is where I'm going. This is what's going to happen when we get there. This is who I will be at the end of it. Follow me in this journey. We'll celebrate at the end, right? This is one of the most common ways of mobilizing your ikenga, mobilizing that ikenga, your willpower, your ability to make things happen. The ikenga again is the masculine force. The omomo is the feminine force. The ikenga is willpower associated. The omomo is manifestation associated. When you go to 9 out of 10 altars or 9 out of 10 arushi shrines at home, the power behind them is an omomo, is a manifestation power. That's why so many of the abara in that are popular in Igbo cosmology, abara are like the word literally means perpetual forces, but we can translate it to deities if you want. So all of the most of the perpetual forces of the manifest world are feminine, and because that's just what we're in. The world is a woman. Uh, do you plan on making books? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. So I'm finishing up on editing a fiction book, and then I'm going to be releasing some nonfiction books that focus on specific topics. So I'll have like an Ikenga book, I'll have Omomo, I'll have just these different things for those who would benefit from having it or who would be that kind of thing. But I want to finish the fiction book first. The fiction book takes place in ancient Igbo land, and I wanted to use this book to kind of show Odinala, Igbo spirituality in motion, right? I think that it's necessary to see it happen. I think using story to teach is another thing too. It's a lot more powerful than just saying the information for a lot of people. So and then also, believe it or not, this particular book I'm writing is a very was key to me reaching the point I am now, where I teach this and I've embraced this, and my life has been elevating ever since. The book was the starting spark, or one of the starting sparks, right? Because one of the thoughts I had when I started this channel was like, because I was already in the process of writing the book. One of the thoughts I had is maybe I should make videos that explain these concepts so that when I make the book, people know what I'm talking about. It's not too far out of their imagination, right? So that I can just say Ikenga and keep moving, and people will know what I'm saying without me having to, which is the blah blah blah, which I'm not going to do. I'm not going to do that. So, but then this whole thing took a whole life of its own. So I love that. Um, you're at 22 folks now. Yeah. Y'all got me. How did ancestors make an altar without photos before cameras? You don't need. I don't know what you need a photo for. I don't know what you need a photo for. They would represent their ancestors with figurines, or sometimes with pots, or sometimes you can represent your ancestors using ikenga and omomo. So each of your ancestors has their own ikenga and that kind of thing. But not you don't really need to have pictures to have your altar. Now, if you're talking about how did they know what it looked like, maybe that's the root of the question, and you can elaborate. In the comments. But how it's all around you, right? You got to think about the fact that everywhere you're going, if let's say this is 1705 or something. If you're walking around, this is all around you, right? It's like saying how do people know how to set up kitchens? Well, every house I go to has a kitchen, so of course I know that kind of thing. But you don't need pictures. Pictures are nice, but you don't need them. Our ancestors would often use figurines, or our ancestors would use plants. Like I use plants, so each of my ancestors is represented by a plant in my altar. Our ancestors used plants. They would use figurines. They can use different ikenga, right? So this ikenga represents that person. This one represents this one, that kind of thing. So for some of them would use pots. Some of them would use like staffs, like different staffs and that kind of thing for each of their ancestors. It's really up to you. Whatever resonates with you, you can represent your ancestors however you want. So long as whatever you use to represent your ancestors feels like your ancestors, right? And part of the journey is finding what feels like your ancestors. But to me, those plants felt real. It became real once I put the seed in the earth and it began to grow. And every time I'd visit, I'd put water and nzu and all these different things, and it would feed it and it would grow. That made it real for me. So it's not about following like oh, this is how it's done. This is how Derek does it, so I'm going to do it that way. This is how the DB I found on Facebook does it. This is do it that way. Whatever you do has to feel real to you, right? If it doesn't feel real, if you do it my way and my way doesn't feel real, leave it alone, right? If you have an ikenga and it doesn't fortify, it doesn't, you don't feel your willpower increase in its presence. In its presence, if you don't feel your willpower increase in its presence, that thing is not an ikenga. Send it somewhere else. There's an ilu that says, what is it? Uh, an arashi, no, so yeah, an arashi that fails to do what it's supposed to do is used as firewood, right? An arashi is a device, a figurine, sometimes a location that you use to channel something. And if it doesn't do what it's supposed to do, the ancestors say use it as firewood. So we're not in the practice of belief. This is not about belief. Oh, okay, I have this here, but it represents my great great grandfather Randall. No, if you don't feel your great great grandfather's Randall's presence from that thing, throw it away. So that's why like it pictures are great, photos are great or excellent because it's hard not to feel a person's presence when you're looking at them. But photos are excellent. For me, plants did it for me. Plants did it for me. I have a photo of my grandfather, but I'm not going to use that one because my son reincarnates from my grandfather. And in our tradition, a child or a person doesn't look at a picture or the grave site or even the belongings of the person that they incarnate from, right? My youngest brother has a very interesting story where he incarnates from my uncle Kenneth. Somebody had mentioned that like they're having a lot of anxiety about like the thought of death. The first time I realized that death was real was I was 5 or 6 years old. I was in Nigeria, and my uncle Kenneth passed away. In my eyes, my uncle Kenneth was the coolest person that could ever exist. Right? It was like you had an actual superhero as your uncle. There was one time that somebody was talking crazy about my mom. We have a two-story house. Somebody was talking crazy about my mom and walking by our house, and my uncle Kenneth was on the balcony and he jumped. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not saying it. If those of you who have lived in Africa, let me say Africa, you'll know that you see some superhuman feats. It's normal. He jumps off the two-story balcony, lands on his feet, and chases after those people. So I'm 5 years old. The coolest thing a person can do is jump high to me or do some superhero shit like that. So that was my uncle Kenneth, and unfortunately, he had really bad asthma. He had really bad asthma, and he passed away. But he came back as my youngest brother and about three of my cousins. And my youngest brother has a story where he's ruffling through my dad's belongings and he finds a picture of my uncle and he felt this like jolt. He tells me about it. He felt this like jolt and a bunch of goosebumps. He didn't know what he was looking at, but he just felt like he said the way he put it is that he felt like he wasn't supposed to be looking at that. So then he went to my dad. He's like, "Hey, you have a picture. Who is that?" And my dad laughs and go, "Oh, that's you. You're not supposed to look at that picture, right?" That kind of thing. So I don't even know how I got in this spiel, but I'm here, so I'm gonna ride it out. Uh, like, or for instance, my dad reincarnates from my great grandfather, and my dad is like the most like the industrious person of my family of the older generation. He's very very industrious. So he's so industrious that people just think he's gonna do everything. So I noticed my great grandfather's grave had started to like decay, and I was like, "Hey, why does nobody take care of the grave?" And he's like, "That because they all think he's gonna do it, but he can't do it because that's him. So somebody else has to do it." I was like, "Oh shit, I didn't think about that, but that's true." So I took it upon myself to start doing it. And that's just a little tradition I have for myself is whenever I go home, I renovate it or I make sure that it looks pristine, and that kind of thing because he can't do it. So I don't know how I got on that conversation, but maybe it's the photo thing. I don't know how I got on that conversation, but here I am. If reincarnation ends, what is the afterlife like? I don't know. I don't know. And anybody who is pretending to know is full of shit. I have no clue. I've never died before. Or let me say, in this form, I have never died before. But yeah, how do I take the Kedu class because I'm in the top tier? Hey, message me on Patreon, please. Message me on Patreon, and let me know which class you want to be in. If it's the language class or the medicine class, I'll get you in for the summer. For the summer. But yeah, just message me, please, please message me on Patreon because it starts Monday, so I don't want to miss anybody. Some of you guys said that you didn't see the notification on your Google Calendar. So tomorrow I'm going to be working on making sure everybody's shows up. I apologize to those who weren't able to see their name on there. Can my deceased parents see me in the afterlife? Your deceased parents can see you right now. Your deceased parents can see you right now. Uda? Okay, thank you. All right, someone's coming to tell me the pizza's ready. Okay. Do you, Namdi, you want to hang out or you want to wait for me downstairs?
I can wait for you.
Okay, cool, no problem. All right, so what was I gonna say? Deceased parents. Your deceased parents are looking at you right now. They're here with you right now. They are around you and they are within you. You are them and they are you. And yeah, I hope you understand how real that is because it's very real. It's very real. So thanks for that, Rose. Thank you for that question. But they can absolutely, they're with you. Odemma. You are them. Can you discuss the significance of dreaming about albino people feeding you in your Yeah, I'm not a dream interpreter, so I'm not gonna give you the complete answer. But what I can tell you is, what symbols I'm seeing in the dream. So albino people with albinism in our ancestral belief have a connection to Abara, certain Abara. I'm saying that wrong, Abara. And they have a connection to certain Abara. And each one will tell you what it is and that kind of thing. So in our tradition, right? I hesitate to talk about this because there's things have fallen so upside down that I don't want to spread stigma. But traditionally, people with albinism would be considered or be associated with a group within Igbo culture known as the Osu. Now, in today's world, the Osu are very discriminated against. Traditionally, if you are familiar with like Christianity, they are like Levites. So they're the priests, if you want to think of something. They're the ones who tend to the Abara. They're the ones who communicate via who the Abara communicate through and that kind of thing. It is not exclusively albino. There are several types of people that would become Usu and that kind of thing. In some villages, twins. In some villages, twins and people with albinism. In some villages, whoever activated the communication network or channel with that Albara. So let's say we move into a new land. Like now, I'm moving to a new land. I'm going to give my respects to the earth here, right? To the earth. Some people can give their respects to the earth, and it opens a communication channel, and they're able to communicate on behalf of the earth for everybody else who can't. These people become Ndiosu, right? So the people who are connected to that particular thing. Now, because Igbo spirituality, Igbo culture is condemned by Christianity in Nigeria. African culture in general is condemned by the Christianity in Africa. Not the Christianity in America, though, right? Which is, but it's condemned. So anybody associated who has an intimate connection to an Abara or an Abara, I always say that wrong, is automatically is going to have social issues. But people don't associate, like right now, contemporary people don't associate albino people with albinism with Abara anymore. So there's not really discrimination in like Igbo culture against people with albinism now. But what it symbolizes in a dream, right? Like you'll get bullying, maybe bullying, but it's not like wholesale discrimination or anything like that. Like it doesn't. There's so many. Like I think we have like the highest percentage of like people with albinism genetically than anywhere else in the world. So it's like it's normal. Um, it's even people that they call half albino, which is a whole different thing. But anyways, what I'm seeing in the dream is, the people with albinism are a midway between the specific Abara and people. So you being fed by them is not a bad thing. It sounds like a good thing. It sounds like something that we would consider supernatural is nourishing you. But I'm not a dream interpreter, so I could be wrong. Wabos are people who say that we're the real Native Americans. Hey, so TikTok clearly wants to dissuade me from what I'm doing. So I get bombarded with those. I get bombarded with those "We're the Native American" videos. I've never clicked on anything that would make it seem like I'm interested. I don't watch any of them. I would block, 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 and nothing would happen. So I'm like, oh, okay, I see what this is. Somebody wants me to be pissed off. So I get that Native American thing a lot. It's kind of funny. So I didn't know they're called Wabos though. First time catching the live. Usually see this after the fact. It's all good. Welcome. Hey, if you got questions, let me know. When we dream, do we go to other worlds and dimensions? Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Nah, I do. I saw a video where you talked about the Eze being priests instead of a monarchy. Absolutely. Can you please shed more light on this? Yes, thank you for this. So, and when you use the English language, you have to know what you're saying, right? And I'm not saying you specifically. I'm saying this with all African people. A king, in the word king in the English language, is not interchangeable with Eze. We don't have any, there's no institution of kingship anywhere in Igbo culture. It doesn't exist. What is a king? A king is a person that owns the land, okay? A king is a person that owns the land. And the king, by his grace, hence the name Your Grace, allows the peasants to live on that land and cultivate that land and serve the king by way of paying taxes. So for an American, an interpretation would be like a landlord, a slumlord, the people that own your apartment, right? That kind of thing. In Igbo culture, every person, every family is land owning, right? Every household. So my household is sovereign. It's sovereign. Look up the word sovereign, right? Every household is sovereign. The community, if the community tries to pass a law and my household is against it, they all have to come and convince me to go with what they're saying, right? That is absolute sovereignty. So think about each family being more similar to how the United Nations has countries, right? Where technically no country controls all the other countries. They're all sovereign. They're all sovereign. A king is a feudal lord. We don't have feudalism. The King of England is the owner of England. They're going to tell you a bunch of dumbass shit about, oh, it's a constitutional monarchy. In that constitution, the king can shut down the constitution, not constitution, or it's a what they don't even have a constitution. The English don't have a constitution. It's a whatever the hell they call it. The king can shut down the House of Commons, can shut down the House of Lords. The House of Lords, though I think they changed it, is a hereditary thing. These are the middle managers that oversee the people that are on the king's land. England is very much the land of the King of England. France used to be the land of the King of France. Prussia used to be the land of the King of Prussia. Everybody else living on it was not a landowner. You are a renter. You are being allowed to be here. We don't have that at home. That doesn't exist. The Eze of a community, the Obi of Onitsha, is not the owner of Onitsha. He is the person that is most connected to the Abara of the land. That is the person that has the offer to continue that relationship between the land and the people. Or in communities where and this is going to confuse people, where the river owns the land, he is the person that has the offer to communicate with that river, or to be the conduit. The Eze is the representative of the people towards the Abara of the land and for the collective whole of the ancestors. So most of all of what an Eze does is just a series of annual rituals. The Eze is not the person in control. We do not have a feudal system. What we have at home is that men with titles and women with titles have two different congresses. The men's congress, Umonadi, the women's congress, Umuada and Ndinyem. Those are the two ways we govern. Everything is done by vote. So the Eze can't come and say, from now on, everybody has to do blah, blah, blah. The Eze in my community got chased out. He gets chased out a lot. The Eze in my community was chased out at one point because he tried to tax the women in the market. And his argument was that the land is his and he wants to tax. Well, it's a taboo in Igbo culture to tax women. And it's a taboo in Igbo culture to tax the Eke Uri at full markets. Though our state governments and stuff are doing it now. And that's why that's why shit don't work. So it's taboo to do that. So when the Eze in our place tried to tax the women, everybody revolted and said, "Get the fuck out of here! What are you talking about?" Right? So that is not a king. The king of England can tax whoever the hell he wants to tax. Right? That is his domain. The only reason England looks democratic is because the family happens to be chill. If they wanted to stop being chill, they can end that shit tomorrow. Right? The anyways, I'll let that go. I'll let that go. But we don't have it. So an Eze is more of a priest. The term Eze is actually connected to Ozo and Nze, and this just means a distinguished person. A distinguished person, a person who is separated from the wider group, a special person, right? Onyeze is a person that is hidden. Traditionally, Ezes don't eat in front of people. They don't eat in front of living people. They don't use the bathroom in front of living people. There's just a whole lot of rules that come with it. Those exact same rules apply for Ozo. They apply for Nze. They apply for Duru, Dara. And they also apply for Ndiosu, that kind of thing. If you can give me more of a heads up to your lives because Patreon notifies late. It's not Patreon that notifies late, it's kind of me. And so what happens is so I used to try to like put it up all day long. I'm gonna go live. But then YouTube is weird where like you have to keep the YouTube stuck on that. And I don't want to like accidentally hit the button while I'm walking around. So I'll schedule it like 10-ish, 15-ish minutes before I go live, and then I post it on Facebook or YouTube, and I post it on whatever. If you're on Patreon, I would just come to the group study. It's like this times 20, right? I'll just come to the group study 20. We're having one in the morning. I'll just come to the group study. But honestly, it's not Patreon's not notifying you late. It's just me. When does the summer session begin for the traditional medicine course? Okay, May, June, July. I think August. This sounds very irresponsible, but I think it's August. I apologize. Oh, I think it's August, but I might. Yeah, it's August. It's August. It's August. It will begin in August. Brother Derek, with our wonderful spirituality, why did African Holocaust happen? Why did our ancestors have these powers intercept this? Why are our people suffering? What are your thoughts? Okay, I don't think our people are suffering. I think and this is black people worldwide, I think we're hyperbolic as hell. I think we use these very extreme words I go home, I don't see people suffering, right? People are suffering. You know what suffering is? Suffering is like somebody has you like nailed to a wall getting whipped. That's suffering. Nobody's suffering. So here's the thing. So people, when we talk about African spirituality, we are talking about science. African spirituality is science. Science is whatever. African spirituality. That's what it is. It's a science, right? No matter how much science you have, if somebody puts a bullet in your head, you're dead. No matter how much science you have, if somebody puts a bullet in your head, you're dead. Our ancestors never made the claim that, all this like magical thinking comes from Christianity. That's okay. okay, I have this God now, nothing bad can happen to me. That's very Christian Abrahamic thinking, right? If I just lock in with Jesus and I get hit by a car, I won't die. If I just lock in with Jesus and someone takes a sword and cuts my head off, I'll live through it, right? African spirituality is the science of life. It's science. It's not superstitious, right? So it's not about people have this wonderful spirituality, and so now they can't be shot, they can't be greedy, they can't turn on each other. They can't. No, that's not what it is. This is the science of life, right? If I tell you that I understand what makes a tree grow, and you shoot me in the head, what is you know what I mean? If I tell you that I pay respects to the river once a year because she gives me water and you shoot me in the head, I'm dead. That's not what it is. Now, within Odinani, Igbo spirituality, there are weapons of war. Just like with Western science, there are weapons of war. You take your weapons of war, another person takes their weapons of war, they go to war and they fight and that kind of thing. It's what it is, right? So our ancestors had access to bulletproof. We had a technology for bulletproofing. I'm not just talking about Odeshi, like a spiritual Odeshi. So our ancestors were able to figure out that palm, the husk of a palm tree is bulletproof. So you would see them like whenever you look at those old pictures of Igbo warriors, they would have these like wicker kind of basket looking shields, and people would be like, what's that supposed to protect you from? And they have like wicker helmets and a wicker like a body protection, but those are bulletproof, right? So that's Igbo spirituality, right? I think Abrahamic. Yeah, what's up? I gotta go live, buddy. I gotta go live. I'm gonna eat the pizza soon. I know, I know. So my son wants me to come eat that pizza. So Igbo spirituality in the past is what we use to form bulletproof vests, right? Igbo spirituality is in the past what we use to make our own guns, right? We make our own guns, our African indigenous guns. Igbo spirituality in the past is how the people of Biafra in the Biafra War figured out how to refine oil. Now, if you use Igbo spirituality to get there, if you use Odinala to get there, and you use Western whatever to get there, whoever shoots who in the head, you know what I mean, that person's dead. So the magical thinking leads an Abrahamic person to think that just because I know God or just because I have this way of life, I can't die. And if I God would never allow me to die. Chukwu can kill your ass, right? We as Igbo people understand that Chukwu can kill your ass. That Chukwu can bring a bunch of white people with machine guns to knock out your whole village. We understand that. We accept it. That God can flood your village. It's not. That's magical thinking. People do that all the time. Oh, if the gods were real, how come the Europeans took over? Okay, let's talk. Who are the gods? Who are the gods? Let's call them the gods. There's Igwe. What is Igwe? The sky. Igwe, if you speak Igbo, what am I saying? Sky. Igwe, sky. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying some shit. I'm not saying anything fantastical. I'm literally saying sky in the Igbo language, right? So what you're saying to me is, so because if your ancestors believed in the sky, whatever that whatever you think that statement means, whatever you think that fucking weird ass statement means, not you, I'm not cursing at the person who asked this question, but if the ancestors believe that there's a sky, how come the Europeans took over? They had machine guns. What are you talking about? Allah, who are the gods? Allah. What does Allah mean? What does Allah mean in the Igbo language? It means earth. If your ancestors believed in the earth, which again, what does believing in the earth mean? What does that mean? What does believing in the earth mean? What does the most hardcore Christian, does the Pope not believe in the earth? Okay. What does believing in the earth mean? What does that mean? Can you just choose, okay, I don't believe in Allah. Allah's fake. What is the Igbo word for earth? Is Allah. There's nothing else, right? Oh, if your ancestors believed in the earth, how were the Europeans able to kill them? With a gun? With a gun? What are you talking about? You understand? You know, that kind of thing. You know, Christians do this thing where it's like, oh, because I believe in Jesus, I can't get in car accidents. That's not how we think. That's not how we think. That's not what we do. That's not how we think, right? That's magical thinking. And then what's ironic is after stewing in Abrahamic thinking, they actually start thinking that we're the ones that are superstitious and they're not. Or that we, the Abrahamic people, are very superstitious and that kind of thing. But those guys are way more superstitious than us. They're talking about disappearing and flying and da 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 da. We're not talking about it because nobody's talking about what they haven't seen. You understand? Nobody's talking about what they haven't experienced. Odinala is experience. Odinala. As it is on the land. What is on the land? What is real? That's what I'm telling you about. Right? So okay, if we had this spirituality, if we had these ancestors, how come the answer? What is it? How do you? If we believe, what is that? If we believed in ancestors, how were people able to shoot you and kidnap you? Okay, think about what you're saying. Who does the Pope believes in ancestors, right? How does the Pope know that he has a mother and a father, but you think it's my belief? It's not a belief. It's my relationship with them. That's Odinala. It's not about belief. So yeah, what are we saying? If your ancestors believed in the earth and believed in the sky, which makes no sense, and believed in ancestors and believed in having community with the elements of creation, how were people able to kidnap and shoot them? With guns. You know what I mean? So that's not what it is. It's not fantastical thinking. Odinala doesn't solve all of your problems or make you impervious to bad faith. It By understanding it, I think you can navigate things a little bit better. But just like any other science, right? Just like any other science. But there's another thing about colonialism too, especially in like the Nigeria area and things like that. I don't think the history gets told accurately, right? I don't think the history gets told accurately. Colonialism, this is going to sound crazy, in a lot of African countries was a system of business deals. It was a system of business deals where they go into a community and they say, we're going to do this, 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 and this for you. But here are the conditions for it. Now, as they're making these business deals, they have a Maxim machine gun right next to them, right? And the leadership go, okay, fine, we'll agree because we saw you wipe out that last village over there. We don't really have a choice. And at the end of World War II, because they started seeing, because a lot of the Africans started seeing that this is not investment, these are not business deals, this is control. You're trying to gradually take this place over, get the fuck out. And the British Empire in that form, the French Empire in that form, by 1970, they're all gone, right? You understand? Now, why am I saying this? Because this continues to happen. I'm gonna come cut these business deals with you, yada yada yada, and people are looking for colonialism in a different light, in a light that it probably didn't really exist. Now, this wasn't the case everywhere. In Congo, it was very different. In South Africa, it was very different. But when they came to Nigeria, 90% of the things they would find the strongest, biggest village. They'd kill everybody there, and then they'd go cut deals with the smaller ones. That's what it looked like. So why did our ancestors cut bad deals if if they believed in the earth? That shit don't make sense. So anyways, this is a whole different topic. Thanks for the question though. I appreciated that. A message is being held. Let me see what it's. Okay. How do you get rid of an obanje? You'd have to ask a Dibia that. We have a Dibia, our in-house Dibia on Patreon. But you'd have to have Obanje to know you have Obanje, and it's not a subtle thing. It's not Obanje is not a subtle thing. It's not subtle. It's not like maybe I have Obanje, maybe I'm not. Obanje is like even if you put me in the best house and the best accommodation on earth, I will climb through the window and go sleep under the bridge. If you chain me up and put me in a basement, if you come to the basement that morning, I'm gone. I'm under that bridge sleeping there. That's Obanje. It's very extreme, right? It's not subtle. So most people that have Obanje are not going to ask the question you're asking. Is there a curse on Africa? Um, the reason I ask is because despite our abundant land and resources, we still marginalize everywhere we go. I feel like God is angry with us. Okay, listen, Rose, listen to what you're saying. Is there a curse on Africa? Everywhere we go, people are angry with us. So if we go to Italy, they're angry. If we go to Germany, they're angry. If we go to Indonesia, they're angry. If we go to America, we're angry. Is God angry with us? Somewhere in your thinking, you believe these people are God. You understand? Somewhere in your thinking, you believe these people are God. Because if they don't like you, God doesn't like you. Right? I hope I'm going to say it out loud so that you can reassess. I don't have to explain too much. Right? But somewhere in your thinking, you think, and then once they like you, God now likes you. So somewhere in your thing, which was what the Bible is there in Africa to do. That's what that white Jesus is supposed to do. You know, if you've lived at home, you've seen that picture of Jesus with the boxing gloves punching that black devil, right? So once these people start liking you, now God likes you, right? I live with these people. If that's your God, that's your God. But to me, that's a very uninspiring God to have and serve, right? And I would implore anybody who is inconvenienced by that belief to consider something else, right? So if somebody liking you shows you that God doesn't like you, perhaps that person is your God, right? And that might be the problem, right? That kind of thing. I don't care who likes Africans and who doesn't like Africans. I like Africans and Africans like me. That's all that matters to me, right? I have no interest in going to Japan and getting love. They love me. They like me. They like me in Japan. I don't care. I don't. If they do, cool. Shout out to anybody in Japan that's here. I don't care. You know what I mean? And you don't have to think like me, but the way I'm thinking gives me a lot of freedom to be me. And I would consider it for anybody who is inconvenienced by their current way of thinking, right? That kind of thing. So I don't give a rat's ass if white people like me. I don't care if fucking I go to France and oh Derek, welcome to France. I don't give a. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. And you probably don't care either, right? You know what did Dr. Umar? That's what the Bible. That's what the Christian mission. Because the age of atheism, the golden age of atheism, is also the golden age of colonialism. This is Victorian England, that kind of thing. So these missionaries, I'll leave the missionaries alone, but like Frederick Lugard, Cecil Rhodes, all these people that are coming and colonizing Africa, they're not Christians. They were not Christians. Many of them have books about how fucking dumb Christianity is. But they're going to bring that Bible because they know what it makes you do. They know what it makes you do. They know what it made them do for 1,300 years. They know what it made them do and how it made them think about the Pope in Rome for 1,300 years. And then they got out of the shackles of that shit. And they started elevating as far as like whatever the fuck they're trying to do, right? Running around shooting people, right? They started elevating in that. And they said, hey, what if we take this book? Well, Dr. Umar calls it the coon ship, right? What if we plant this fucking coon ship in these people, right? Then we'll be their gods, the same way the Romans did to us. You understand? So I don't want to hear, I don't, every live, somebody's talking about some damn curse, some, generational curse, African curse. Man, you guys stop this fucking curse shit, dude. In my culture, I can't talk to cursed people. If you have a curse, get the hell out of my life. I don't. You quit talking about this. You're not cursed. Stop this nonsense. Talk about curses all the fucking time. How do you identify your EU? How do you identify your EU? I don't think a person ever knows, but I'm gonna let you know that I don't know the answer to that. So, but I don't think a person ever knows. I think typically if it's like an obanje, they'll know, but I don't think a person ever knows, and I don't think a person's ever supposed to, right? But EU, so concepts in Odinani. they manifest in many forms. So your EUOY is going to manifest as a star in the sky. It's going to manifest as a grain of sand or a stone in the earth. It is also going to manifest as a specific market day. It is going to manifest as your pathway, your destiny, all those things. So EUOY, while one of its manifestations is a stone and a star, most of its manifestations are more conceptual, such as your destiny, your pathway in the world. When people ask their chi to clear their road for them, that's the road they're speaking about. Some people visualize it as a road, some people visualize it as a stream. It is also known as ete, your string, your string in the world, your umbilical cord to that links you with creator and creation. That is your EU, right? It is the door you enter the world. All of these metaphors I'm using, they're all used to explain EU. It is the door that you enter and exit creation with. So while there is a stone that is linked to it, most of its the understanding of EU is conceptual. And so knowing your EU is knowing your destiny. But if you're looking for the specific pebble or the specific stone or grain of sand, I don't know how to do that. Do I need a figure for my Ikenga? I would say no, but it helps. It helps. If you start by starting with a figure, it builds your capacity to understand it and connect with it, and then from there you don't. But no, not everybody needs a figure. Nobody needs anything in Odenani, right? Nobody needs anything in Odenani, except each other, community, that kind of thing. Say if damn Mike is going in. Say if you damn Mike. Say if you offer money or animals to sacrifice your Ikenga, so I would burn the money. I don't think you have to burn the money. If you want to, you can. What happens to animals given to the offering? You can eat it. You can eat the animal. What are the main characteristics of people born on Eke Market Day? Aha, okay. Eke Market Day. Eke Market Day people are natural leaders. They are leaders. They have a very strong presence when they enter a room. They do not and should not be in a subordinate position, right? They do not and should not be in a subordinate position. It will drain them. They'll feel drained in that situation. Eke Market Day people are like they like to begin new things, right? They're innovators, they are adventurers, they're the people that are going to say, let's try this thing that hasn't been tried before, and that kind of thing. If you give an Eke person space, whatever role they play in your life, they'll be incredible at it. Mother, father, brother, sister, co-worker, boss, whatever relationship they have, they'll be incredible at it if it's coming from the heart, if it's coming from the heart, and that kind of thing. Eke market people are also said to be temperamental, and temperamental, very big presence. Eke is manifested in physical form by light, by fire, anything of that nature. It's also the house by which light and dark live. So black and white, light and dark, that kind of thing. Rose says you skipped my question. I bet I didn't. Dark studio. Ooh, cool. All right. Answer: dark studio lighting for your new studio. That specific uche came to my mind. I like that. I saw you in the dark on camera. I happened to be watching a teacher with white studio. Wow, that's dope. All right, Siberia, I like that idea. I'm really considering it too. What do you do if you get anxious whenever relatives keep rotting food in the house unbeknownst to yourself? Oh, that's interesting. Creative force. I unfortunately I don't have an answer, but okay, here's my answer. And I've said this a lot. So those internal feelings are your first voice. That is your chi. Your chi is speaking to you. So that buildup of anxiety, you're supposed to do something with that. That is an energy you're supposed to do something with. Your chi. will best know what you're supposed to do with it, right? But if that's building up your chi, if that's building up within you for a reason, there's something about your chi connected to that. Now, oftentimes, as you get older, you'll come to learn that certain things give you power, certain things take away power from you, and it is very, very specific to the individual. So, I use our in-house debia for example. Our in-house debia, like most debias, can't eat like slimy foods. Slimy foods take power away from him, and that kind of thing. Being in nature gives him power. So oftentimes, when you're around something that takes power away from you, you're gonna feel it. When you're around something that gives power to you, you're gonna feel it. And then take those impulses very seriously because that is your chi communicating with you. So there's something about um, rotting food in your relatives' houses that spikes you. Whichever direction it spikes you is between you and your chi. So if it's telling you throw it out, go throw it out. If it's telling you to tell him to knock it off, tell him to knock it off. Don't ignore it. Don't ignore that spike and feeling. But I can't say anything super specific about like rotting food and that kind of thing. So I hope that answer was adequate. I'll try not to worry too much. I've calmed down some. I'm feeling better. Oh, Milkman, I appreciate that. Alexander Ebunike. Okay, I've already answered that one. How do you identify EU? I've already said that. You're part of the vanguard of African Renaissance. You're appreciated. Oh wow, damn, that's heavy. Rasan, I appreciate it, and I believe you are too. I believe you are too. Um, don't worry, be happy. Milkman is delivering. Are there ways to get practical insight on steps to take in life for meditation and dreams? Very dope. In terms of like to figure out what you're meant to be doing, path in life, etc. So meant to be doing path in life, etc. It is. We do have to kind of accept that it is a lifelong journey and a lifelong understanding. You're going to keep growing, and it's going to keep being more specific and more specific and more specific. But what I can advise doing is what I said earlier with that internal voice. So, whoever you actually are, you already know who that person is. If you equate that to like what you're supposed to be doing, you already know what it is. And I think oftentimes the modern world can create a situation where we ignore that internal voice and we try to like I myself I've always known that I'm supposed to be teaching. I've always known that, right? But my initial thinking was, well, teachers don't make no goddamn money. I'm not trying to be some pobre ass. I'm not trying to be out here suffering, as Africans say. So let me go into IT. Let me go into this. Let me go into that. And again, when I was saying earlier, you feel yourself being drained. You wake up in the morning for work and your physical body can't get yourself out of bed. So you have to down 13 coffees, maybe less. You have to go in the car, try to listen to some music to make the shit feel okay. You go into that office, you feel like hell, but like, okay, I'll just get through it and get through. Ah, finally the weekend. Now I can go do the things I'm actually interested in. I can read all these books about spirituality, African spirituality, and I can do all these things and do, I guess. But really, if I were to just have been my weekend self on the weekdays, which is what I learned to be my weekend self on the weekdays, that is what your chi is paving for you, right? That's what your chi is paving for you. That's what your chi is. That's what you're supposed to do. That is what your chi is guiding you towards. That's who you are. That's who you are, right? So we believe in nature. We believe in what is natural. So practical ways and steps you can take um, as far as knowing, using Odinani to learn and know, right? Is the first step is accepting yourself, accepting who you are, right? If for some reason you feel a certain way about doing a certain thing and that feeling is telling you not to do it, don't do it. If you have this thing within you and you want to do it and maybe you don't have the confidence to go do it, or maybe you don't, yeah, yes, this is what I do when I have free time, or this is who I am when I have free time, but people are gonna laugh, or that kind of thing. Just accept yourself. First thing is accept yourself, right? The second thing I would then advise is to begin a regular dialogue with yourself in the form of communicating with your chi, right? In the form of communicating with your chi. There's an ilu that says, if you laugh at me, you laugh at my God. You laugh at me, you laugh at my chi. Nigerian Christians have kind of co opted it, but it's originally an Igbo proverb, right? And so just accepting that the person you are is divinely ordained and it is supposed to be as the sky is, as the earth is, as the water is, and so forth. That the universe needs you to be who you are, right? So accepting self and then beginning that regular dialogue with your chi. People use prayer, people use meditation. Meditation is a form of what's known as igachi in Igbo culture. Igachi is something that brings you closer to your relationship with your chi. So meditation is a means of doing it. Sometimes, like for me, I come closer to my chi. There's certain music that if I listen to, that's like you can probably get a good picture of my spirit, or I have a good picture of my spirit based off of the music I listen to and what it makes me feel and who I become when I'm listening to it, and so on and so forth, right? And that's all important. All of that is important. So music can give you answers. All those things can give you answers. Have faith in yourself. Begin that dialogue with your creator, and then just kind of understanding that the very specific things about you that make you you are vital. They need to be what they are for the universe to function the way it does. Believe it or not. Believe it or not, right? Believe it or not. And if it sounds fantastical, once upon a time, there was a woman. Let's just say this. Once upon a time, there was a woman somewhere in the world. Let's say 500 BC, there was a woman and she had kids and they had kids and they had kids. And today, 20 million people have come from that single person. 20 million people have come from that single person, right? I'm not talking about somebody specific. I'm saying that people back in that kind of thing. Her neighbor may have had 15 million that come from her. So the little tiny things, decisions, the person she was while she was alive has now impacted 20 million people, has now set the course of creation for an entire nation, right? So when I say that the universe needs you to be who you are supposed to be, and which is who you actually are, I mean it, because the impact and the footprint, and it's not always in having kids, right? It's not always in having kids. One day somebody was hitting some stones together and figured out fire, and then you know now everybody uses fire. But when he was hitting the stones together, people were looking, his fellow ancient people were looking at him like, oh, this kid must be autistic or something. Right? What's wrong with his dumb ass playing with rocks and shit? And then now look. So the universe needs you to be who you are naturally, and that's the practical thing I would advise. Find a method of yigachi, something that brings you closer to your chi. For me, I listen to music. I walk, I meditate, and I visit my altar. For you, it might be painting, it might be whatever it is that brings you to the self, that brings you closer to self. For you, it might be painting, for you, it might be karate, it might be sports, it might be having conversations with people, whatever it is that brings you closer to your creator, that gives you that brings you closer to your sun. I think that's the best way to put it. That gives you the feeling of shine and resonance and sunlight without necessarily being the literal sun. That's what it is. And if you keep following that, you keep taking that seriously and having faith in that and understanding that you are connected to this feeling and the thing that you feel that for a reason, you'll be all right. You'll be all right. That's where the answers come from. We're not pretending. I have heard the term pretendian. Shout out to, anyways, let me not say it too much right now. But yeah, shout out to the person introducing me to that term. U.S. trying to keep us here, so they're trying to say that Native Americans. Oh yeah. So U.S. trying to keep us here, so they're trying to say that we're Native Americans because so we don't keep leaving. Oh yeah. There's a Breakfast Club interview with Dapper Dan. And on the interview, he's talking and he's like that we his generation, they got really into Africa, right? They got really into Africa and they started making visits to Africa and things like that. And the government stopped him and says, "Hey, why are you going there? What are you planning? What are you doing?" Right? And that kind of thing, right? So the fucking CIA budget has never decreased. I've never heard of a president coming back, "I'm going to cut the budget of the CIA," right? He knows better. "I'm going to cut the budget of the FBI. We're not going to have all these extra adjacent agencies open every 4, 5, 6, 2, 3 years," right? So whatever the hell they're doing then, they're doing more now, right? So yeah, there is a very concerted effort to make sure, because if black people in America get out, right, get out of the cage, it gets very hard to get them to accept low pay. It gets very hard to get them to accept bad treatment. It gets very hard to give a person with options an ultimatum. And I'm black in America. The existence is it's there. It's an all there's ultimatums floating all over our heads, right? But it doesn't affect me as much because I can go somewhere else, right? So, but anybody can. Now, it doesn't mean leave. This land was created by the blood, sweat, and tears of the black population, the African population here. So I'm not one to say that everybody should just go to Africa, oh, that kind of thing, right? But what if you knew that your business can have a huge market in China, right? What if you knew that your business can have a huge market in Africa? What if you knew that your idea, the book you want to make, the movie you want to make, your dream to act, you don't have to always go to these people. You can go to all these other people and that kind of thing. What if you had the same mobility as everybody else in the world who doesn't get constantly bombarded with US propaganda, right? Then all of a sudden I can't give you ultimatums, right? I can't get, "Oh, if you want to be famous, you got to come to the Diddy party," right? What if you found out that you had fans in Zambia and you can go perform for your fans in Zambia and make a great living in a place that you can buy a house for about $1,000, $2,000 and be okay? All of a sudden, I can't give you these bizarre ultimatums, all right? So yeah, there's going to be these different waves. "Oh, okay, we're not even from Africa. We're from the damn Antarctica. We're not even from," and they bombard Africans with propaganda too. They hit us with propaganda too. "Oh, China, watch out for China. They're trying to take over. The Chinese are bad. They're going to take over. How are we going to free Africa from China?" You know what? You know what? I remember, and I'm a different person, right? I'm a different kind of person. So when I was a preteen, I understood that the next phase for development for our people at home, like economic development, would require a level of industry, right? And I'm a history fan. I understand how the shit works. So it requires industry. So I started looking when I was like younger, I started looking at what it would take to have like build a factory home. Not that they don't exist, but what would it take? And a lot of the industrial equipment was in Europe. And they would explicitly say, "We sell to these countries." The only African one was Egypt, South Africa. Egypt, South Africa. Egypt, South Africa, Morocco. I was like, "Oh, you mean to tell me that if I say I want to take this to Nigeria, you start arguing? That's weird." And then China goes, "Hey, whatever you need, come buy it. Whatever you need, come buy it." Right? Or we find oil in our land. America's way of getting that oil is, "Listen, I'm gonna get your oil. This person has to be your leader. If you play around, this whole place is gonna go in flames. We also have to have a military base here." And China goes, "How much is that oil?" "Oh, okay, bet. I'll buy it." Uh, okay, you guys need roads. I need zinc. So how about this? I build you the roads. You give me the zinc since you don't have cash. All right, bet. Right? And there is an economic revolution happening in Africa right now, and China is a big part of it. That's why No African wants to get Western loans anymore. Want to deal with the West. Have the dumbass IMF come some tell you some bullshit. Have you want to have a meeting about clean water. Some fucking Norwegian shows up, starts talking about you need to stop living this way and start living that way, and ooh, you know what I mean, right? I want to sell something to a person that sees me as a seller. I want to buy from somebody that sees me as a customer, not somebody who, hey, I'm trying to get a sewing machine and all of a sudden I gotta give you my liver and government and everything like that. So the propaganda, oh, China's trying to take over, China's trying to take over in America. Oh, the Africans, they don't like you. The Chinese, they don't like you. Nobody likes you. You're an Indian. Woo woo woo. It's all the same shit. And they got propaganda for white people too. They got shit they tell white people too to keep them where they need to go. This is America's on top. So they're when you're on top, you don't want things to change. And you'll make sure that things don't change, however the hell you need to make sure that things don't change. Right? There was a wave of people going back to Africa, and then they'd go there and they're like, oh wow, this isn't what I thought it was, and they start making these connections and starting these businesses and building families and building community with people on the continent. Not that they should abandon what they have in America. That's great too. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden there's this wave. Oh, they don't like they don't like us. They don't like we're Indians. So yeah, this shit's like, you know what I mean? Like, when something's organic. Okay, let me put it this way. I remember when immigration became a big deal. I remember when it became a big deal. It was a single news broadcast. I used to think CNN was a real thing. I used to watch it. Then all of a sudden they just showed footage of a Hispanic, Mexican, I don't know, with a group of people running across the border. And then all of a sudden they haven't stopped talking about it since. And that was one of the moments where I was like, oh, that was weird. Because I understood just through common sense, people have been running up and down that border since the beginning of time, right? But all of a sudden it's a thing, it's an invasion. So I know how this country kind of works as far as like what they hype up, what hype makes people do, and that kind of thing. Follow your cheek with, listen to these fucking jabronis, Adumma. In the name of Jesus Christ, the Holy Savior, I bless all the people of this chat. Did any weapon formed against them shall not prosper, that they may overcome anything in the name. Amen. Bro, you're in the wrong fucking. You're in the wrong room with that nonsense. How do you remember everything in so much detail? I have mad respect for your memory. So when I tell people about your chi and listening to your chi, and when you're in the space of your chi, it's not you talking. Your chi can talk through you, and when your chi is talking through you, it's not you talking. Because data, I have the worst memory imaginable, right? A lot of our longtime patrons know, hey, I got to remind him. And it's nothing personal to the person that's got to remind me, but I don't have a good memory. And I used to beat myself up about not having a good memory. I used to just down coffee. I started, what's that pill they have? Herbal pill, nothing crazy. The one that's supposed to improve your memory. All them fucking, yeah. I started taking the tablets. I was so beat up by my memory because it made going to school difficult. It made school difficult. It made working difficult. It made having friends difficult because people take offense to you forgetting things, right? Um, you know what I mean? I all these things, all this memory. Then I stopped doing the shit I'm not that my chi doesn't want to do. And all of a sudden people think I have a good memory, right? So I don't know how to explain it, but a lot of what I talk about, I'm not saying it because it's my belief system. I'm saying it because I saw it with my own two eyes. I saw it with my own two eyes, right? So yeah, the detail, all that stuff is if you knew me as a person, I don't, I don't remember anything, and I have no attention to detail whatsoever, right? As a natural, as a person. But if I'm in my space, or if I'm talking about what I'm supposed to talk about, and I'm in my truth, yeah, my memory is infinite. My capacity to remember, my capacity to do anything, it's infinite. It's absolutely infinite, right? So I got my ancestors. No need to bother Jesus. Yeah, let Jesus sleep. And thank you for the reality check. I'll do my. Oh, Siberia, thank you so much. He said, I appreciate the donation. I need like an official donation thing, like where I hit a button and a sound goes off, right? So I'll figure out how people do that and I'll do it. So, Siberia, thank you. Um, who cares who likes us? We like us. Yeah, like who, who likes who? Who likes who? Who likes who? Right? People just go around liking Serbians. Oh man, I can't wait for a Serbian to come to my country. I love nobody. Oh man, I can't wait for a damn someone from no, they're black too. Someone from Peru. Oh, I can't wait for a Peruvian to come into my. I can't wait for people like white people, right? People like, but white people put a lot of effort into forcing people to look forward to seeing them, right? They invested a lot of money into that. I don't think that's money well spent for African people. I don't think there's a purpose for that. Oh, damn. White people are here. Yes, I feel great. Yeah, that's a thing. That's real. But that was hundreds of years of work that they put into that. I think we can put our efforts elsewhere, you know? I've been starting to think about Igbo futurism. Oh, beautiful. And how Udinani and pre-colonial culture can better inform future technology, health, environment. April, I'm so happy that you're coming to the traditional medicine course because it sounds like Ag is speaking to you and through you. Odemma. What is your understanding of the origin and the etymology of the word Igbo? Okay, so this is really good. Thank you very, very much for this. So from my own research, there's something about the word Igbo that alludes to an agriculturalist, farmer, some type of person that works the land. There's also some type of allusion, like connection to like being ancient, to an ancient, right? But I can't say that I have the concrete answer. I'm still researching it, but it looks like the etymology points to being ancient and being an ancient land farmer. The reason is because even within Igbo culture, there's a song that Osita Osadebe has, and he says, Ndi Igbo na Ndi Oru, Ndi Igbo na Ndi Oru, which means Igbos and Oru, Igbo people and Oru people, right? Oru people are connected to water. They not like spiritually, but like like the community spirit is connected to the water. So their main abara, their main arashi in their community is the river that they are next to, right? My community is Oru. And then Igbo, they're more connected to the land. Their main abara is the land, is Allah, is the earth. And so there's something about Igbo that is connected to the field and farming. Then there's something also that alludes to being ancient, Mbembo, that kind of thing, right? So etymologically, ancient agriculturalist, right? Ancient agriculturalist. But I could be wrong. I'm still researching it. Great question. I really appreciate those history questions too. Um, all you need to do is stay black and thrive. Exactly, right? Oh man, that Latvian doesn't like me. Oh man, them Latvians, I'm in Latvia and they don't like me. God doesn't like me, man. What the? Oh man, I'm in Singapore. A person in Singapore doesn't like black people. Womp womp womp. You know what I mean? I don't get into that kind of thinking. So, and anybody who wants to drop it, they would be advantaged. Skip the question about the significance of bearing child placentas. Okay, good question. What it means for the child's life. So in Igbo culture, when a woman gives birth in Odinala, and when a woman gives birth, they will take the placenta and the umbilical cord of the child, They will put a seed, they will plant it with a seed, and they will bury both the seed and the placenta and the umbilical cord into the earth. The tree that will emerge is known as their tree of life, the child's tree of life. This tree of life is a tree that is going to be returned to when various rituals happen. So, for example, in the real back then tradition, and by back I mean like the 60s. The If a woman is getting married, she will take a branch from her tree of life to her new home, and she will use that to form her eku, her oh man, alomchi, her women's altar, her altar, right? And she'll use that branch in her altar. I had a good friend but that tree is just kind of just your representation, the earth. It's also a part of your EU, right? It is telling Alamor, because a child comes from Alamor, it is telling Alamor that, okay, this child is here to stay. And part of the child coming here to stay is you're giving Alamor back what belongs to it, which is the physical placenta and the umbilical cord. Okay, take what the child brought with, or you gave the child. We're keeping the kid wants to stay, that kind of thing. And then the tree that emerges is your tree of life. Now, here's the very interesting thing. I'm no biologist, but um, I had a good friend, Onyemobi. He's the owner of the Igbo Cybershrine. He had pointed out the fact that the seed would be absorbing the stem cells of what is left there. And on top of absorbing these stem cells, it is also absorbing your DNA. And that one of the reasons that your tree of life could be returned to for forming medicine is because you've grafted yourself into that tree, right? So trees are phenomenal at figuring out how to cure diseases. If a virus or a certain bacteria sweeps a land, it also affects the trees. And what the trees will do is they will take the minerals necessary to combat it. Like, okay, there's this in the air. I need more zinc. So it sucks up more zinc so it can survive, because zinc fights off the thing. And so as this tree is growing and learning all these techniques for battling this thing, all of a sudden its fruit and its bark and its roots and things like that become medicinal for you in a very specific way, because it's almost like it's building immunity for you using your stem cells and so on and so forth. Now, I don't know if this is the part of the logic of why this is done, but I do know that when they form medicines specific to you, they'll return to your tree of life. Unfortunately, this tradition is considered demonic by our Christian brethren and sisterin, and it is very uncommon now, though you'll see it often, or like within some families. One of the greatest things my grandfather did for us when we went back home was he had each of us plant a tree. Each of us planted a tree somewhere. And I remember one of the reasons, and I strongly believe this, one of the reasons we never lost touch of where we were from and who we were, as like me and my siblings, was because as we're growing up as kids, we'd always be like, man, I wonder how tall my tree is. I wonder how tall my tree is. Oh, I just talked to so and so, and they said that my tree has fruit now. I think my tree, and it's funny, it was so long ago, I don't even know where the tree is anymore. That's the sad part. But I know where my sister's tree is because it's like in our home, like our house. But mine is somewhere around there. I just can't remember which one it is. But man, I'll go home and I'll feel it out. And I remember we'd be like, oh, okay, like I think we all planted mango, and like, oh, I wonder if it's mangoes and things like that will come out. So it's a tradition. It's a tradition. That tree planting thing has many purposes, but it used to have a lot more significance back in the day. For that reason, that's why a lot of trees back home, you can't cut them down or climb them. They'll say, don't cut this tree down. There's something special about, sometimes this is the case, not always. There's something special about the person that planted that tree. Hey, don't climb that tree, don't cut it down, that kind of thing. So it becomes a sacred tree. It becomes where you go to pay respect to that ancestor when they pass and that kind of thing, and so forth. So I think it's an interesting. I want to look more into the grafting and the stem cell thing, because that was a really, really brilliant observation. I give him credit for that. Uh, be your week on the weekdays. I'm telling my love is the key. Yes, love is absolutely the key. I 100% believe that. What is the point of meditation? It's to connect to your chi. I have a hard time connecting with my chi or meditate. I have a hard time connecting with my chi. I'm sorry. I have hard time connecting with chi or meditate. Walks and breath don't work for me. Okay, you're gonna find what works for you, right? So for some people it's one thing, for other people it's another. Some people feel good when they eat oranges. Some people throw up when they eat oranges. We're all designed different. But the purpose of meditation is to clear all voices. For me, is to clear all voices so that you're tapped into your original voice, which is actually a silent voice. It is silent, right? Those of you who are familiar with Taoism, who have probably heard something similar, right? That kind of thing. The voice of the Tao is silent and all those types of things. So it's a silent voice. So when I meditate, I clear voices, I clear myself, and then I begin to feel what is original and what is true about me and my thoughts and my my connection to self, right? And so if you're good at meditating, you're able to see your thoughts almost like float by, and they start feeling like thoughts rather than something that controls you or holds you. So you can like, let's say like you have, like when you have something to do and it's not really that big of a deal, but like the anxiety about it is very high. Then once you start doing it, you're like, oh, okay, that wasn't even like, why was I tripping? One of the good things about meditation is you can get there before you start doing the thing. So, like, if you have like a to do list of 5 things and you're meditating, and then you open your eyes, it feels like 5 things. It doesn't feel like this overwhelming thing. So, brings you closer to truth. Anything Igachi awakens you more. Anything Igo more puts you more to sleep. So hypnosis, more awareness, hypnosis, you're letting go, you're allowing something else to occupy you. Meditation is in the hyper and the awakening aspect. Somebody, Dev said, wow, okay, cool. I literally repeated what Dang said. It was spot on. Uda. Somebody held a message for review. It's a bunch of hearts. We can show that. Show. What the hell? Another moderator just handled this. Oh, okay. Oh, it was Udochi. Hey, Udochi, that sniper. Udochi, is she there? Udochi, is that you that's sniping people? U.S. has been fighting Pan-Africanism for a long time. Yes, it was heavy in the early '90s as well. If only the Native American. Yeah, yeah. So Danielle, thank you so much for your observation. Like you started seeing a lot of it in media. So like early '90s, late '80s, you started seeing this like African thing, and then all of a sudden there's this wave of African poverty porn in the mid '90s, 2000s, that kind of thing. Wave. Um, well, think about this. Eddie Murphy. Go find that interview where Eddie Murphy is talking about the movie Boomerang, right?
You had no time to stay with us at all.
I'm coming. I'm sorry. I don't mind you. I don't mind you.
When are you coming?
Very soon. Very soon. We're having fun here.
Like
So
what time are you coming?
okay, let's stay up. Let's have a sleepover.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know, yeah. So, okay, cool. I'm gonna have to leave pretty soon, y'all. What was I gonna say? Eddie Murphy has this interview about the movie Boomerang and how much backlash he got for having a company that was all black and there was no visible signs of dependency on a white person, and he got backlash for that. And so, if you, something that simple can get backlash, of course they can propagandize and backlash against it, but they're not gonna, it would be clumsy to just, oh, I'm angry that these people are realizing that going to Africa is not even that big of a deal. That's not effective. I can bombard them with propaganda, and a lot of that propaganda has precedent, right? A lot of it has precedent. Of course, a lot of black people have Native American ancestry. That's not even debatable, right? That's a fact. Everybody has that grandmother that kept. And I'm saying this because I knew this before the wave even came. But yeah, yeah, it's just all propaganda. You know what it is. Okay, I'm gonna scroll fast. I've been out, been to Nigeria. Now I know I'm an int. Okay, this is a funny comment. I've been out, been to Nigeria, and now I know I'm an intolerable person. I accept BS far less now than I did before. The one thing you're going to walk out of Nigeria with is a full acceptance of whatever the hell is wrong with you. And you're just going to be like, you know what? Fuck it. I be yelling. All right, whatever. Let's go because I don't know what it is about the environment, but I mean, I don't know. It's hard to explain. I remember my niece was very gentle when she went to Nigeria. And but I knew like she wasn't gentle in the soft that she was like sense that she was like weak or soft or whatever the term is. She just doesn't like conflict. But by the time she came back, man, if you she was even the one kicking people out of the house. Oh yeah, everybody. Oh yeah, everybody out, out, out. That kind of thing. My yeah, go to Nigeria. Everybody, go to Nigeria and embrace the atmosphere. You'll stop giving a damn in a kind of different way. A lot of times people will go back to Nigeria once a year to recharge. I'm telling you, there's a way you'll just stop giving a damn. You'll be like, oh wow, I really give a damn about XYZ. I shouldn't. There's a job in the military for reading social media, translating into English, and spreading propaganda online via social media. It's a common job. Well, there you go. Well, there you go. Not just the military, police, CIA, FBA, all have task force that do the same thing. There you go. Ginkgo, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like, oh, if I take this fucking ginkgo, I have good memory. I have good memory. There's just things that I have no business trying to remember. It's a waste of space. It's not for me. That's for somebody else. Well, I have fantastic memory. I can even remember things as early as 3 years old. That's wonderful. Ginkgo below, but yes, it was ginkgo that I was trying to remember. Wow, if only I knew that tree was. It's not too late to plant your tree either. It's not too late. You can do it as an adult. You don't have to do it as a child. There's an ilu in Igbo people say, when a man wakes up, you tell him good morning, right? Or when a man wakes up, that is his morning. So if I wake up at 7 p.m., it's good morning, that kind of thing. That's when I woke up. So if you plant your tree at 7 p.m., it's okay, right? If you plant your tree at 40, 50, 60, 30, 20, it's okay. You don't even need to plant it in Africa. A lot of you, like, let's say if you're Black American, a lot of you guys have land, family land that's been in your family for multiple generations somewhere in the South. You can plant it there. A lot of you guys are Caribbean. You guys have the same thing. You can plant it there. It doesn't necessarily have to be in Africa. If you want to make it in Africa, I think that's dope. That's cool, but it's not, this is your home too. Meditation for some can be slowing down thoughts. Yeah, one's mind does not need to be empty of thoughts. Yes, just slow down. Yeah, so sometimes it's good to have your thoughts slowed down. Sometimes you need to empty. It's just once you figure out the mechanics of meditation, you use it to do what you need it to do. I think empty thoughts are important. Emptying my mind is important for me because it sometimes it just gets kind of staticky and busy. So, oh, never mind. When I start randomly forgetting things, like forgetting my keys, forgetting for whoever said I have good memory, I one time I had a total meltdown because I had lost my wallet and keys 5 times in like 4 days or 3 days or so. And I just couldn't take it anymore. It was just overwhelming, that kind of thing. But I am where I've grown from there, and I understand what that was all about. I think my mind needs to be empty. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It helps sometimes, but it doesn't help to walk around completely empty though. About trees, similar. It's just like meditation is great for when your mind gets busy. People with like busy minds. I have a very busy mind. Um, so yeah, observer of our thoughts versus our logical mind that is creating the thoughts. Oh, data, that's beautiful. That's dope. tree and the branches all share placenta. That's really dope. Okay, let's see here. Okay, I'm gonna assume that's not a question about Native American ancestry wave. There's striking similarities in Native American tradition, Igbo tradition. Yeah, there's a lot of similarities between Native American tradition and Igbo tradition. I don't think they're like the same people, but it's just that they both look in the same place for answers, right? So you're going to see commonalities between all indigenous people. You're going to see commonalities between spirituality and religion. It's these are all people who look in the same place for answers. So if you're standing in um, Chippewa Nation and you're standing in the middle of Abombise and you guys are both looking at the sky, you guys are going to both say something very similar, right? Both say something similar, right? You guys are going to describe a similar thing. If you're both looking in inside of the human spirit, you're both going to say something very similar. I think that indigenous spirituality and indigenous thought is best verified by the fact that everywhere in the world, from the Arctic to Africa to Papua New Guinea to Australia to North and South America, Asia, everywhere in the world, everybody is saying the exact same thing. Maybe they're using the language of their geography and their topography and their history to describe it, but we're all saying the exact same thing. So you can never listen to one of my lives again and go only focus on like Japanese Shinto. You'll come back and I'm talking about the same thing they're talking about. It's the same thing. We're all saying the exact same thing, except except Islam and Christianity. But those are state religions. I'll do my slavery war pushed on Native Americans, Africans met in Georgia. Yeah, Louisiana up Arkansas. That's dope. I really like when you guys share like history of America and things like that, like the history, like the real history, not this fucking what do you call that? I'm cussing a lot today. I'm getting more comfortable. There's a planet where it rains sideways. Okay, hold on. There's a planet where it rains sideways. It also rains glass instead of water. I wonder which Irish lives there. You know what's interesting, creative force? So my son is absolutely fascinated by space and planets and rockets and things like that. He from man, there's nothing about space this kid can't tell you, right? And so, but sometimes when we start talking about these other planets, I get chills. Like, so I heard about the planet where it rains diamonds. I heard about a planet where it's like several times bigger than Earth, but it's only water. That shit gives me chills, you know? Like, what if you end up there, you know, that kind of thing. So, no, it's fascinating. But yeah, an Irishi is like, or an Abara, whatever you want to call it, is a force. So that planet itself is an Irishi. The water on that planet is an Irishi, all those things. So, all them. I love cussing. Yeah, I love cussing. Me too. I think it's I mean, other than just some people curse more than others, I grew up in the Midwest, in the American Midwest, and I remember I moved to the South. When I moved to the South, I realized how much less, or Texas, let me say specific Texas. When I moved to Texas, I'm like, anytime I say something, people would like wince a little bit, or I know people would notice it, but you come here, in like the real like trailer parts of the Midwest, it's every other word. Like I don't know if you guys remember or have seen the show Ozark. You know, like the blonde haired girl, the little puffy blonde haired girl, and the way she talks. That's just how I I didn't even realize that was an accent because I was like, whoa, because I know who that person is. That's how I grew up with that, and so it's just always like yeah, it's just the cursing all the time. Everything is effing this, effing that, you know, that kind of thing. That's kind of what I grew up in. I don't have to be mad to do it. Yeah, me neither. I think I don't know, but I think I always attribute it to me growing up in the Midwest. Are there any restrictions for folks who are not Igbo origin and practice Odinani? No. You know, once you understand what Odinani is, you'll just kind of understand it's not like you know what I mean? It's not like like there's not the thing you enter or exit. It's just understanding, right? So cultures all over the world practice their own odinani. You understand? Cultures all over the world practice their own ordinary. Well, let me say this: practice their own omenala, right? And that is rooted in their own ordinala, right? So I can give the distinction. Ordinala is as it is on the land. Omenala, as we do on the land, right? So that is what you're seeing all over the world. Omenala is known as culture, right? So a person, they're not going to practice Igbo or Menala to a T, and that kind of thing, but they're going to do the one that their land calls them to do. Um, you will you will notice. I had a thought and it's leaving me, so maybe I should just leave it alone. It'll come back when I want to. But yeah, each place has its own thing. Everybody will have their own thing. Um, Igbo culture is guided by Iwala, the laws of the land, meaning that our sacred laws, the rules that we follow, the sacred rules that we follow, we make our own too, just through government and that kind of thing, come from the land itself. The land tells us what we should not do on top of her and that kind of thing. In this parcel of land she gives us. But you'll notice in Igbo culture that if you go to another village, they'll have a different way of doing things too because their land told them to do it this way. Another place, this, that kind of thing. So if a person understands Odinala, and they're in Georgia, what they're doing is going to look different from what we're doing at home, right? If they're in Jamaica, what they're doing is going to look different from what we're doing at home. If they're German, what they're doing is going to look different from what we're doing at home. If it's guided by the same logic, right, or the same way of understanding and connecting, right? So if you understand Odinala, you'll know that wherever you go, it's going to differ. You're going to approach it differently, right? If in my community the main abara is the water because there's a river that cuts through there, Njaba, and Njaba is the owner of the land that we live on, is the original owner of the land that we live on, and Njaba manifests in living or not living in like biological form as the python. So in my land, there's a certain respect we have for the python that if you go to the next community that isn't on Njaba's land, they're not going to think the same way we do. So, and that same with Idemili and all these different river communities, and so forth. If you go to somewhere in the mountains, they're going to have a understanding connected to the mountains, right? It's just acknowledging the reality and then the relationship we have with that acknowledgement. So, if you give me water, I thank you, I honor you. If you allow me to bathe within you, I thank you, I honor you. The same way, hey, my shower's not working. Okay, you can come to my house and take a shower. Hey, thanks, neighbor. Hey, thanks, whoever, for that glass of water. It's the same thing. So it's going to differ per land and that kind of thing. I cuss just like Ruth, yeah. Cuss just like Ruth from Ozark. I'm from the Kentucky version. I remember, yeah, I think, yeah, for sure, yeah. I remember, I remember when I moved to Texas, I met another person from the same state that I grew up in, and man, she was just and it's again, if she were in her natural habitat, I wouldn't notice how much she cursed, but it was just like Ruth. But while we were there, everything was always like, yeah, this son of a bitch, I ain't gonna fuck, blah, blah. And she wasn't even mad. It's just how she talked, right? It's just how people talk there, right? I remember like white kids in second grade, they used to have this tick. Some of the white kids, they're like, fucking, da, 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 fucking. And the only reason I noticed that tick was when I had moved from Nigeria. That shit sounded really funny to me. So a lot of how to tick where they say that like they say the F word multiple times and they say what they wanted to say. This is second grade in the '90s, so I don't know if they got over it, right? If you're white in here, let me know if that one's over. Did I miss the Eke light and dark answer? You may have. You may have. You guys, this has been a great discussion. I'm under a lot of pressure to come eat pizza with my son and my wife and my kids. So I'm going to let you guys go. For those of you who are interested in the traditional medicine class, it is full and we're starting soon. It's like over full. I'm. That detail's making me a little nervous, but I think it's gonna work out. But we are going to, of course, have them quarterly. The next one is going to be in August, but if you sign up like now, you can just say, hey, I want to take the August one, and I'll put you in there, or you can go to www.kedu.me and sign up. For those of you who are interested in learning the Igbo language this year, if you did not know, I have an Igbo language school, www.gedu.me. Somebody in the chat said that it is the best language program for any non-European language. So that was heavy. I mean, that's heavy. That means I'm beating out all the Chinese and Arabic and talk less of, that kind of thing. So awesome. Namdi, I'm coming. I'm wrapping up. Oh, Anamabia.
Wait, you're almost done?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'll do more. So yeah, so the program is very effective and very accommodating and very I use the principles of Odenala to put the curriculum and the way of teaching together. And it works. So if you want to learn the Igbo language, www.kedu.me, as well as learning traditional medicine, dibia work, healing, and that kind of thing. It's all there. But if you want to support the channel, patreon.com/the medicine show. As always, unogadi, unogeto, nkabula, unotiaka, ogadi nowa, ogadi otu anake, dorie, nafo, nankwo, ise.